Welcome to the Vision Driven Basketball Training Podcast. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys are an Apple Podcast, make sure you guys scroll down to the bottom of the page, leave a review, 1 star if you hate it, 5 stars if you love it. That would be awesome. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe too. And like I always say at the end of every episode, guys, make sure that you guys drop questions for me. Every single week I'm answering questions. So, if you have anything you want me to talk about, let me know. You can DM me on Instagram at Vision Driven Basketball. Leave a comment on YouTube. I see everything. So go ahead and do that for me. But we're going to hop into it today. And before we even get into that, though, I want to talk about I want to give a shout out to everybody who has joined the Perimeter Score System so far. And, I've had a lot of guys who have been given really good feedback up to this point. And so shout out to all of you guys. And what I'm going to be doing is, if you guys want to check out the first workout, then go ahead and check the link in my description below. I'm going to send it to you guys for free. All you got to do is just click on the link. You'll see it on YouTube. You'll see it in podcasts as well. So go ahead and check that out. And, so hopping into today's topic, obviously, you guys have seen the title of this video. And, as we approach the summer, we're getting really into the sort of deep off season. This is a very important topic I feel like that we need to go over, because I think a lot of players have this sort of misconstrued in terms of what they should actually be focusing on. And I kind of want to set things straight. So let's talk about it real quick. But, I think the overall concept that you guys need to get is that great players do what they do best. Okay, so there is no, great players don't put themselves in a situation to where they aren't going to be successful, right? A shark in the water is, one of the world's most deadly predators, but you put that shark on land, and all of a sudden it's going to die, right? It has nothing going for it, right? So you put a human in, a submarine, and all of a sudden we can do incredible things in water, but you just put us without a submarine in the water, and we're at the mercy of that shark, right? So that's how we kind of got to approach things. You want to do things that are going to put you in the best positions to succeed, okay? And you're not going to succeed by trying to be great at everything. That's what the point we're going to get into. So, great players don't feel the need to do everything, because not everything that they do is going to help their team. Okay, they understand that they have some things that they're great at, some things that they aren't that great at. They're going to stick to what they're great at, and that's what's going to allow them to play great and to be great. So, the theme in all of life really is that you have to play to your strengths. And I think the best way I can illustrate this for you is to do kind of a comparison. So obviously LeBron James, let's talk about him real quick. So LeBron James, and I don't think this is really much of an opinion, but he's the greatest all-around basketball player who's ever played the game, in terms of being able to do everything, in terms of being able to shoot, dribble, pass, rebound, score at the basket, score in the mid-range, off the dribble, off the catch, play off ball screens, and use, there's nobody who's been able to do more things at an elite level than he's been able to do in his career, okay? And again, I don't really think that's up for debate. I think that's just really, you understand that if you watch basketball. But the thing that you have to understand is that LeBron James is the outlier, okay? LeBron James is a guy who is able to do whatever you need him to do, right? That's why he can get to the finals, and he can average, 40, 12, and 10 and lead both teams in every single category, right? Because he's able to do that. He's one of those transcendent players who has that ability to do that. But the mistake that players make is that they feel like, they have to be like that, right? They take the LeBron approach, like, if I want to be next year, if I want to be, the best player on the team, I've got to be the best shooter. I've got to be the best rebounder. I've got to be the best passer. I've got to be the best ball handler. I've got to be the best finisher. I've got to be the best in mid-range, best from three. I have to be the best. They think that they have to be great at everything, and that's just not the case, okay? And in fact, not only is that not the case, but if that's your focus, you're going to end up really selling yourself short, and you're never going to get to where you want to get to, because you're going to be way too spread out, okay? If we look at a guy, like LeBron, you can't compare yourself to him or his play style, really any player who plays sort of in that kind of can do everything realm. You just can't compare yourself to them, because when LeBron came into the NBA as an 18-year-old, he wasn't a great shooter, okay? He wasn't even a good shooter at that point. He wasn't as great of a passer. He didn't have the court awareness that he has now. He wasn't able to use ball screens the way that he does now. So you have to look at that and understand that where he is now and where he's been over the past few years, he didn't start there. He had to do what he does best, which is be an incredible athlete. That's what got him to the NBA. He gets to the NBA, and now he starts to work on those other things. So he gets a jump shot. He gets that sort of passing, that court awareness through playing, and that's something that he started to develop over time. That wasn't a get that all in one summer sort of thing. So that's the approach you guys have to this. And that's the approach for your training that you have to take. Okay, you cannot become great at everything in one off season. You just can't do it. It's not possible. You can become better at everything, but you can't become great at everything in one off season. And what you guys need to start to do as you get older, you need to become more of a specialist. Okay. Now, again, there's going to be exceptions to that. There's going to be guys like LeBron James who can do everything. Okay. But for 99.9% of players, they need to be really, really good at 2 or 3 things if you want to get consistent playing time at the level that you guys are trying to get to. So you got to be able to do at least 2 or 3 things, maybe 4 at an elite level. And if you are able to do that, you're going to be able to be very confident in your ability when you step on the floor, because you're going to know, regardless of who I'm playing, who is out here, there are 2 or 3 things I can hang my hat on that I know I'm going to be able to do regardless of what the situation is. Okay? And, if you can shoot lights out, regardless of who you're playing, where you're playing, you're going to be able to be confident in yourself, because this hoop is 10 feet. I'm using the same size basketball that I always use. I can shoot the basketball, so it doesn't really matter who's in the court with me. That's going to allow you to be confident. And, I tell this story. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but, there's some pickup near where I play, or near where I live. And, it's a lot of the best high school players in our area. Some college guys will come, and we'll have a lot of guys who are older who can play and who have played at the college level. And, there are a lot of times where I'll walk into that gym for pickup or whatever, and I'll look around and I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I might be the worst player in this gym. Because in terms of being an athlete, in terms of size, all this stuff, I might be the worst athlete, worst player in this gym. But the thing is, I can shoot the basketball. So I know even if I am the worst player in the gym, which I already talked about how I love that. I love walking in the gym and knowing that I have to raise my game. That's awesome for me. I don't shy away from that. But the thing is, I know I can shoot the basketball. So if I get on the court, the ball's the same size, the hoop is the same height, I can shoot the ball. It doesn't matter how good anybody else is. I know I can do that well. And the thing for me is I will never allow myself to get onto a court and be like, you know what, I'm the worst player here, so I guess I'm just going to lose today. No, I'm not going to let myself be the weak link on the team. I'm going to go out and I'm going to perform. I'm going to get mine because I have something that I can hang my hat on, I can go to. And obviously you can start to build off of that, but now that I have that, I feel like I can walk into that gym and be just as competitive as anybody else in there because I have that skill. Okay? But if I was only an average shooter and, an average ball handler and being average at everything, when you play against great players, you're not going to be able to do anything. Okay? So you have to develop 2 or 3 skills that you are great at. And listen, that might not all be in one off season. It might take you a couple off seasons to get great at 2 or 3 things. Okay? Maybe your first off season you get great as a shooter, but you're still only good as a ball handler. Maybe that next year you work on ball handling even more, you become great at it. Okay? So you have to understand that you need that the most important thing you can do as a player going forward is develop 2 or 3 skills that you are great at. Okay? And so the whole comparison I'm going to make is that you want to stop being LeBron James, stop trying to be LeBron James, and start trying to be Klay Thompson. Okay? Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters ever. Great defender, is great coming off of off-ball screens. 3 things. I guess let's say moving out the basketball. Okay, so he's great at shooting, moving out the basketball, and playing defense. Great at all 3 of those things. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Klay doesn't have to be the best ball handler on the court. He doesn't have to be the best athlete in the court. He doesn't have to be the best around the basket. All he has to do is be great at those 3 things. Now, he's not bad at, and here's the thing, he's not bad at any of those other things. He's not a bad ball handler or a bad finisher or he's a good athlete, but he's great at 3 things, which is what allows him to be so successful. Okay? So that's the mold you guys want to follow is think of whatever 2 or 3 skills are your best right now. Okay, whatever you can hang your hat on right now and develop those. Spend your time developing those skills right there. We can take a guy like Chris Paul. Chris Paul, great facilitator, great at using screens, and is a great defender. So that's going to give you 3 things right there. Chris Paul's not a great shooter from 3. He's not necessarily great around the rim, but because he's great at a few things, he's a Hall of Famer as well. Brad Beal's another guy. Brad Beal's a great scorer. I don't think anyone would say Brad Beal's a great defender or necessarily a great facilitator. He's good at those 2 things, but he doesn't have to be great at those things because he's already great at shooting the basketball, getting to the basket. Like, he's a great scorer. Okay, so you don't have to be everything. Brad Beal's another guy. I mean, he's averaging 30. I think it was 31 a game this past season, and very underrated 31. He didn't make the All-Star team, which is ridiculous. But that's the point I'm trying to make is you don't have to be great at everything. If you're great at a couple things, then you're going to be able to hang your hat on that and still be successful. So additionally, you can break this down to include, your workouts as well. Okay? And what I mean by this is that, what you don't want to make the mistake of doing is going into every single workout and trying to work on every single skill. Okay? You should not go into every workout and say, today I'm going to do ball handling, shooting, finishing, all those things, and I'm going to work on different skills in each. I'm going to work on off the dribble, off the catch, off different moves, blah, 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 blah. Adding all these things together, you're not going to be able to get better at all those things if that's what every workout is. Now, there's going to be times where your workouts might be focused on all those things, and I'm not saying that that's not, you can't do that. But what I am saying is that you need to make sure that you have focused workouts at least regularly. Okay, there can be times where you might work on all those skills in one workout. That's fine, but you need to have times where your workouts are laser focused on something. So, for example, in the perimeter scorer system, this is something that we really focus on, both of these categories. So, obviously, the overarching thing is we're working on skills that will allow you to become a great perimeter scorer. Okay. The perimeter score system isn't designed to make you a great defender or a great passer or a great rebounder. It's designed to make you a great perimeter scorer. So that's going to work on your shooting, obviously, your ball handling, your ability to get to the rim and finish, okay? Those are the 3 main things that we're going to work on. And obviously, we're going to work on some scoring moves off of that as well, but that kind of leads into my next point. So obviously, we're laser focused on a couple things. Okay, so that way you can get great at those things. When I don't need you to work on every single skill. I need you to work on the skills that are going to make you a great perimeter scorer. Okay, and going along with that, what we do is for our workouts, there'll be times where, like I said, there'll be times where we work on every skill in a workout. Okay, but there's a lot of times where we're going to come in, do some light shooting, light ball handling, and then we're going to work on some move for the majority of the workout. So it might be the inverted drag, could be the drop, could be the double between foot replacement, could be we might work on coming off a ball screen, something like that. Like, we're going to work on one thing the whole workout, okay? And we're going to get great at it because here's the thing. You have to get your reps up. You have to do something a lot of times if you want to be able to actually use it in games. Players will do, they'll see a move on YouTube or something, and they'll go to the gym and work on it once or twice. And then they never try it again. And it's like, at that point, like, you're never going to be able to use that in a game because you haven't built the necessary muscle memory to actually be able to do that. So, the reason that I put the moves that I did in the perimeter scoring system is because once you master them, first of all, you can use them to actually score in games. And they're simple. Like, they're simple that you can go to. They're not flashy, but they work. Okay? And also, going along with that, once you get great at those things, you can add on to them. So you can add different combos and different counters to those things. And because you have the basics, the fundamentals mastered, you have that muscle memory down, you're going to be able to be successful using it, as opposed to you just doing it, during one drill in your workout that was focusing on 7 things. Okay? If you have a workout that's focusing on one thing, you're going to be able to become better at that one thing, and that one thing might be the thing that gets you 4 extra points per game, right? Then maybe you get great at another thing, and that gets you another 6 points per game. So that's all of a sudden what we're looking at. It's like, what are the things you can go to? Okay, what are the things that you can have that you can be confident in? Because that's where confidence stems from. It stems from you feeling like you can go to something whenever you need to, okay? You feel like you have control over something. And if you aren't great at something, you're never gonna have that confidence. So that's the biggest thing for me, and that's what you guys have got to focus on in your training. Is you have to make sure that when you're doing what you do, you are laser focused on those 2 or 3 skills that you want to develop. You have workouts that are laser focused on building one skill, working on one move, working on one type of shot. Okay, it could be you spend a whole workout working on shooting off the catch and off the drill. Like you might have a whole, and we do this in the permanent system as well. We have a workout where it's just shooting. Okay, so you're becoming great as a shooter. And additionally, you might have relocation shooting. So I just dropped a workout with a pro player that I trained back in August of 2019. And when we worked out, we did some light ball handling, some light finishing, and we did some shooting. And then we went into a ton of stuff off of relocation. So we went drifts to the corner, lifts to the wing. We went relocations off of ball screens, off of dribble handoffs. Like we were just working on that, on being able to shoot off of relocations. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You want to have those workouts that are laser focused on a skill that you want to build. Okay, that's how you become great at it. That's how you become confident in it as well. And the other thing too, going along with that, is you have to understand that it isn't just good enough to show up and do it. Like, are you doing those drills correctly? Okay, and this is something that I stress to my players all the time, because there's no point in doing something if you're not going to do it correctly. Because here's the thing, guys, in games, like, you have to do it correctly or it's not going to work. Okay, and if you want to see that success, you can't go to the gym and just be nonchalant about the work you're doing. You have to really buy in and commit to what you're doing and commit to doing it at 100%. And a lot of players will see a drill on YouTube or wherever, and then they're going to go to the gym and do it, which is nothing wrong with that at all, but they don't pay attention to the details of it. So they end up going to the gym and doing the drill incorrectly, and then they're wondering why they don't get the results that they want to get. Or maybe they do get some results, but they're missing out on a ton of results they actually could be getting. And a great example of this is my NBA player workouts. So if you guys watch my workouts, you know they're incredibly detailed. Like, if you read those slides that I put, like, they're incredibly detailed with the footwork, the pace, all those things. And if you watch the drill demonstrations that I do, I watch each drill, each move a bunch of times until I have it down correctly. Like, I make sure that, like, okay, when is my left foot step? When is my right foot step? How many dribbles do I take? What do my dribbles look like? When do I rate? Do I have to change heights, change speeds? Like, I focus on those things because guess what? I know that those things work, right? Those players have just showed me that if you do a drill this way, if you do a move this way, it's going to work. Okay, it might not work every time, but it works. It will work. There will be times where it will work. If I do it a different way, it might not work. So I need to make sure I show you guys the right way to do it. But if you guys just go and you aren't focused on the details, you just are like, whatever, I'll take as many steps as I want, I'll go whatever speed I want, as many dribbles as I want, you're not going to get those same benefits that you could be getting. Okay? So if you don't pay careful attention to the details, then you're not going to be getting the most out of your workouts. And that's an unfortunate truth that a lot of players have to face when they go through their work and they don't end up getting the benefits that they think they should be getting, is because you probably aren't paying close enough attention to the details of your work that you're doing. And we talk about how basketball is so competitive right now globally. I mean, it's the fastest growing sport, and honestly, it's going to be for the foreseeable future. I mean, basketball is blowing up. Like, there are so many players out there who are playing in so many different countries. I mean, it is unlike anything that we've ever seen in the sport. And that's why basketball now is better than it's ever been. The NBA now is better than it's ever been, and it's going to continue to get better because we have more and more players, right? Back in the 90s, they expanded to 30 teams, and it was kind of watered down for a little bit because we didn't have the international guys we have now. We didn't have the Luka Doncic or we didn't have Dirk right away. We didn't have Kristaps. Like, we had some international guys, but not the way we have them now. Okay, where we have, like, every year we got guys coming in from Europe who can play, right? And so because of that, once the NBA started to grow, I mean, it's incredible. And then all of a sudden you have to look at those players from those countries when, those kids growing up there see, like, oh man, this guy made it from Europe to the NBA. Now every kid in that country wants to be him. So he's going to train, he's working out. All of a sudden basketball becomes massive in that country. Okay? that's what you have to understand. There's so much competition out there globally that you don't even see. So you got to think about it this way. There's a kid out there right now, same age as you, same height as you, plays the same position as you, and works out just as often as you do. Like, there are a lot of players out there. There's somebody who matches that description. And when that kid goes to the gym, he's focusing on the details. He's going 100% the whole time. He's getting the most out of his training. Okay? And when you go to the gym, you don't focus on the details. You don't worry about going 100% the whole time. You kind of just get through it. And that kid is going to get far ahead of you because he cares about the details. He cares about going 100%. He cares about getting the most out of his training. You guys might work out the same amount of time. You guys both might spend an hour and a half in the gym on the court every day. But because he's getting more out of his work, he's going to be better than you. And that's what you got to understand. So when you're in the gym, you're tempted to just, say, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. Or, you don't go to the gym. You got to understand that kid out there, he's not making that decision. He's going to get his work done. He's going to do it the right way. So, like I said, even if he has to watch the drill a million times to get it down, even if he has to watch a demonstration a million times, he's going to do it because he knows that's what's going to make him better at it and able to actually use it when it matters. So at the end of the day, if you aren't willing to also be that committed, then that kid is eventually going to take your spot that you want. Okay? So it isn't necessarily about how much time you spend in the gym, though obviously that's important. That's a factor in it. But it's also about, what are you getting out of the gym? Are you getting through it, or are you getting something out of it? That's a question you got to ask yourself. And that goes with your individual workouts right now. That goes with team workouts. That goes with team practices, right? Are you getting through it, or are you getting something out of it? Because the best players are the ones who get stuff out of it. They aren't just getting through it. Okay, they're getting better because of it. And as much as I believe in the perimeter score system, and I believe it's going to help a lot of players, I think for me, the biggest thing is that if you don't commit to the details, you don't commit to doing things right, you don't commit to being consistent, then no trainer is going to be able to help you, right? You're gonna forever be a big case of what if. Okay, so don't allow something as little as that, as minuscule as that, to derail you. Understand that it's super important for you to pay attention to the details and to get great at doing those things you're supposed to be doing. Okay, so that's a big thing. And nobody out there, no trainer can make that choice for you. That's completely on you. So I want to answer a couple questions. And this came from my guy, Ian. Ian has some great questions to me this week. So, like I said, guys, any questions, hit me on Instagram. And because I know that if you have a question, there's probably someone else out there who has the same question as you. So by you asking it, you're probably going to be helping out other people as well. So, and, we'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit. But so first question I got, he asked, quick question, do you have any opinion on listening to music during workouts? I was thinking about it because I usually do, but I just finished watching the Mental Toughness Masterclass and I was wondering if it would affect focus or for basketball or something like that. So first of all, shout out to Ian, one of the first guys to join the perimeter score system when it opened up. And, he's been grinding, making his way through all that stuff. So shout out to Ian. But my answer to him was, it's a good question, actually, because I do talk a lot about focus and being able to focus. And that's actually relates back to what we're talking about with the details. And the first thing is, no, like, I wouldn't overthink it. I mean, when I work out, I listen to music. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And I think where it could become an issue is if you are just kind of going through it, right? If you can't stop yourself and pause your music and make sure you're doing the drill correctly, or make sure your footwork is right, your pace is right. If you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't listen to music because you're not going to get the most out of your workouts. But if you're able to be disciplined and say, you know what, I can listen to music, but at the same time, if I need to stop and I need to, I need to check the drill again, make sure I'm doing it correctly, I can do that, right? If you're able to do that, then that's fine. So once we're past that, there's actually a lot of evidence that music significantly can benefit your athletic performance. And there was a study from a professor at the University of Southern Queensland, and he basically found out that amongst elite Olympic level athletes, with them listening to music, they were able to increase the length they could run for over 18%. and a lot of it had to do with the pace of the music, or the tempo of the music. So that was kind of a big thing, is if you want to get an increase in performance from your music, then you want to have a high tempo if you're doing a high tempo activity. Obviously, basketball is a high tempo activity, so music like rap and heavier rock, like that's going to get you that higher tempo, which actually can scientifically increase your performance based on a few studies. And essentially what it comes down to was the disassociation between your mind and your body, right? Or more specifically, your mind and the pain you're feeling by running and doing all these things that are painful for your body. And music actually helps to sort of help your brain forget about that, so you're able to train at a higher intensity oftentimes. And so I think there's a lot of good that can come out of music, and there's a lot of research again that backs that up. Now, obviously, it's hard to tell for every person. I think that's what it comes down to, though. Is like, okay, for you personally, if that's what works for you, if you feel like you have better workouts, more intense workouts with music, then go for it. Again, just as long as you're able to still get the most out of your workouts, you're still able to focus on the details, you're still engaged in your workout, and you aren't just lost with the music. Okay, so that's something you have to think about. But again, if maybe you don't like music, then don't worry about it. But if that's what you want to do, then I would say there's no issues in not doing that. So that's a good question, though, because you want to make sure that you are as focused as you possibly can be. And that being said, though, I think it's definitely good to have that extra boost. And for me personally, I always, not always, but I usually have music when I'm playing basketball and, growing up. But there's a lot of times actually growing up where I was in gyms training where I didn't have that. And I guess the one good thing is that when I didn't have music, a lot of times I was a little bit more focused on what I was actually doing, right? I'm a little bit more focused on the move that I'm doing, on getting it right. But again, I think that varies from person to person. So, overall, to answer that question, I say go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it if that's what works for you. But I know for different people, it can be different. So, adjust that for yourself, and that'll, if that's what you're into, then absolutely go for it. So Ian asked another question that was regarding overtraining, and this is another question that actually I get kind of not that frequently, but I've got it a couple times. So actually, I'm glad I can address this now. He said, I have a quick question regarding overtraining. I know that this is a thing for weightlifting, but is it a thing for basketball too? Obviously, in season, I know that it is, but what about off season? I've been doing your strength programs early in the morning, finishing online school, doing the perimeter score system workouts, along with VertShock, plyometric program for jumping, and Zoom sessions with a local trainer. Along with this, I try to do your NBA player workouts and your live workouts as much as possible. I feel like I'm growing with the schedule, but I just want to make sure I'm not overexerting my body or anything. So it's another good question. And I think again, this comes down to everybody's going to be a little bit different with the amount of training and the amount of stress that their body can take. So you have to be able to address that for yourself. And it all comes down to really understanding your body and listening to what your body's telling you. So if you are getting really, really sore, you're starting to get a couple of nagging injuries, then at that point you might want to pull back a little bit, at least temporarily, until you start to feel better. But if you're going through it and you feel good, you feel like you're getting better, you're not hitting any plateaus, then absolutely I'd say continue what you're doing. You're getting in a lot of work, which is great. And but the level you're going to be able to take is going to vary from person to person. It's not going to be a one size fits all. So you have to be able to address that for yourself. If you start to feel extremely overwhelmed day by day, and like I said, little nagging injuries, extreme soreness, then at that point you're going to want to adjust what you're doing, and be able to get the most out of your training. So that's what I would say. I would say going along with that, actually, the biggest thing is going to be your training, or your nutrition and your recovery. Like, I think if you're going to be training that much, you need to make sure those things are unlocked. So obviously nutrition, if you're training that much, you got to be eating a lot. Ideally, you're going to be eating a lot of good food, but just get in a lot of food, okay? So, your protein is going to be massive. Getting enough carbs, stuff that's going to keep you going throughout the day. Make sure you're not skipping on eating, okay? You got to make sure that you're doing that. And, if you're putting in that amount of effort, that amount of time, you're going to be burning a lot of calories. And if you're trying to gain muscle and get stronger, then you got to make sure you're keeping up with your nutrition and your eating. So that's something that you definitely are going to want to pay attention to. And then also your recovery is going to be massive as well, specifically sleep. Like you got to make sure that if your training schedule is like that, you got to be sleeping at least 8 to 10 hours every night. Honestly, like 7 at minimum, but I would say probably closer to 9 or 10 is what you're going to want to get to. So you got to be able to be disciplined and get to bed when you need to get to bed, so that you can get, you can wake up in the morning and get your training done, get whatever you need to get done throughout the day, and, have enough time to get it, because you don't want to skip on sleeping, when you have that intensive a schedule, because if you want to be able to hopefully avoid those injuries, you want to be able to avoid the effects of overtraining, you got to make sure that you're sleeping and you're fueling your body with that nutrition. That's going to be two big things, and that in itself can be why players might see differences. Two players who might be similar in age, similar in ability, they might both work out, at the same time, doing the same things, but one of them keeps getting hurt, is feeling overwhelmed. The other kid feels fine, because maybe the difference is that one kid isn't paying attention to what he's eating. He's not eating enough, and he's not sleeping enough. Maybe he's sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night. The other kid is eating a lot, and he's sleeping 9 hours every night. That can be the difference right there. So you have to address that for yourself. Basketball, and this is what I always love to relate it back to, is that basketball is not just about the on-court stuff, right? A lot of people think that it is. It's like, oh, what workout should I be doing? And obviously, look, it all starts with your on-court training. If you aren't doing on-court training, you're not going to become a great basketball player. That's obviously point number one. But I think even bigger than that is you have to look at what else are you doing. Like it's not just going to be about your training. It's going to be about also the off-court stuff. So we'll stick with physical. So your strength training. Okay, again, right now most of us can't get in gyms. But your body weight training, what are you doing to get stronger? That's another big part of becoming a great player. And mentally, so do you have the correct mindset? Do you have the basketball IQ? All that stuff that also is very, very important when it comes to you becoming great. That's something you have to have unlocked too. It's not just about your skills training. You have to have the basketball IQ part of it, which also you develop through playing. So you can't just be doing skills training. Are you also playing? Are you playing 1-on-1? Are you playing 5-on-5, 3-on-3? Are you actually being able to get into live situations to where you can actually apply those skills that you've been training? Okay, because there's a difference between executing moves in practice by yourself and then doing it in actual games, doing an actual game situation where there's a defender right there, okay? In practice, you can make things perfect, right? You could do a move perfectly. In a game, it probably won't be perfect every time, okay? You might step a little bit different every time. Your pace will be a little different every time. Your finishes will be a little bit different. The way you shoot it might be a little different in terms of, where you're getting your shots from, all that stuff. So that's another important part too, is you got to make sure you're playing. And, we talk about this a little bit, but, right now, even if it's just playing against an imaginary defender, if you can't get in the gym with your teammates or something like that, you're just working on your moves, right? As if you're in a game. Okay, I think that's huge for players right now too. And then, obviously getting into your recovery in your nutrition. So making sure that you're stretching. I think that's a big thing too. Actually I got another question about what are some essential things that basketball players need to have. And I think one is a foam roller. Like you gotta have a foam roller, and I have a video on that too, where I talk about how to get rid of knee pain. And foam rolling is just a massive part of that. It's really gonna help your muscles feel better. So foam rolling, stretching, huge for recovery right there. Obviously sleeping, the most important part of recovery, and then your nutrition. So making sure you're eating enough, getting enough good food in, enough protein, and all those things together is going to build you up as an athlete, okay, as a basketball player. So don't feel like as long as you're training, then you're doing enough. You got to make sure that you're setting up yourself to be successful. One thing I talk about is that the best players don't I want to be careful how I word this. Basketball shouldn't be the only thing in your life, right? But I feel like the best players are the ones who set their lives up around becoming great at basketball. Okay, so they're going to make sure that they get enough sleep, because that's going to help them become great at basketball. They're going to make sure that they are stretching, making time to stretch, because that's going to make them better. They're going to make sure that they're watching basketball, playing a lot of basketball, because that's going to make them allow them to be the most successful. They're going to get their schoolwork done, because now that there's going to be nothing in the way of them playing. Okay, the best players are the ones who are going to set themselves up to be great, and it is not just about you being willing to go to your skills training. It's about everything else as well. So this is a very important topic, a very important question. And, I think going forward, you got to make sure that you address what you're doing, and you make sure that in general is not just about your skills training. You make sure that you have everything else on lock as well. Okay, so kind of just to go back, make sure that you guys you have, again, you pick 2 or 3 skills that you are already pretty good at, and you become great at those things. Okay, become great at those things. So if you're a good shooter already, maybe you're a great shooter already, become an elite shooter. Okay, you might be a great ball handler, so now all of a sudden you become an elite ball handler, an elite shooter, and maybe you become an elite defender as well. And that in itself is going to allow you to be successful. You don't have to be, the best finisher at that point. You don't have to be the best passer at that point, because you have skills that translate. And you can obviously build those things up as you go along, but have some things you can hang your hat on. Have some things you can get playing time for right now. Okay, that's a massive part of becoming the player that you want to be. So address that for yourself. And, I already mentioned the perimeter score system. And like I said, you guys want to get the first workout free, make sure you guys click the link down below, and that'll be there. And, that's going to be some of the things really going to help a lot of players. And I've already heard a lot of great stuff from guys who've been going through it. And, like I talked about, it isn't just about the skills training. It's also about you developing your mentality, your basketball IQ, which we have stuff for in there as well, between the 20 points per game blueprint, the mental toughness masterclass, my VIP NBA scoring secrets film breakdowns, all those things included with it really help to kind of build the all-around great player. Okay, so again, shout out to everybody who's in there already, and like I said, click the link below, check it out. Really appreciate you guys checking in with me today. And like I always say, and like I said before in the video, you guys have questions, make sure you let me know. Again, your question is probably going to help out other people too. I want to do I want to talk about what you guys want to hear. So make sure you guys ask those questions. And going forward, like I said, drop a review if you're on Apple Podcasts, 1 star if you hate it, 5 star if you love it. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, make sure you subscribe as well. Also follow me on Instagram at Vision Driven Basketball, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace. I want you guys right now, go to the top link in my description and get my free elite perimeter scorer workout. We're going to work on a bunch of different skills that you need to have if you want to be an elite player in the perimeter. Make sure you guys check it out, completely free. Click the link, I'll send it right to you.